Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Manassas Park Economic Development Authority meeting this night of March 2nd. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Huh?
Did I call for a vote?
Yeah, you do.
All right. Everyone who wants to,
All in favor?
everyone, all in favor? All right.
You might want to just point out you have a quorum, because we are required to have a quorum.
Okay, and we do have a quorum this evening. There are no citizens here to speak to the best of my knowledge. And we do not have minutes from the last meeting to approve. Or do we?
Yes,
It says
we do.
none.
Have they seen it before now, then?
Oh, maybe, I have the February 2nd meeting minutes, but if you haven't, we can always carry it over to the next one.
I didn't see them. Did anyone else?
Yeah, it was in your, part of your packet. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. There was confusion. So
Oh, okay, we'll just
yeah,
Carry
We'll
it forward
put
to
it
the next
back,
meeting?
yeah.
Okay, where's the last meeting?
I'll just carry over.
So we don't need the motion to approve minutes. Is
No.
there a treasurer's report?
no, not this time.
No treasurer's report. Any old business anyone would like to speak to?
It's actually 6A. That's the first item is old
Okay.
business. Yeah.
All right, so 6A, city attorney conveyance of Park Central garage land area to EDA.
All right, so as I explained the last time, the city and the VRE reached agreement last November on a couple of things, one of which is the ground leasing of the property right across the street to the VRE so they can construct the parking garage and then maintain it and use it and everything. The city can't do it because we can't convey an interest in property other than the entirety. We can sell it, but we can't convey a lesser interest for longer than 40 years. We can convey it to the EDA, though, and the EDA doesn't have any restrictions on the length. So that's the purpose of this. And this, there is a reverter clause. So for some reason, a year goes by and we still haven't gotten that ground lease signed between the one that's next on your agenda. For some reason that hasn't been signed, or a ground lease has not been signed, then it'll automatically revert back to the city. Also, if the VRE ever chooses to not use it for some reason and sends a letter to both the EDA and the city to that effect, or they just stop using it for a year, it'll automatically revert as well. So the idea is that eventually, if the VRE ever stops using it for that purpose, the city will then take the garage over, run the garage as a regional parking facility as well, just as if the VRE was doing it. Any questions on that?
Just as a, for my own reminder, I guess maturity is kicking in. It's $1 a year lease.
Right.
And they maintain all of it except for the bottom level garage because that'll be built for our utilization.
Right, and so that's the next item as far as the ground lease goes. This is just the conveyance right now, but I can speak to both if you want me to, or I can
That
wait
might
till the
help.
next one.
If you could, maybe for me,
Yeah.
it just help
Okay.
to connect
So-
the dots.
So the ground lease itself is then going to be between the EDA and the VRE. You're the landlord, they're the tenant. The city's also joining, however, because the city's going to be the agent of the EDA. So everything the EDA is supposed to do in here, the city's going to take care of that. So there's a lot of requirements of the city in here that are carried over from the agreement itself, and the agreement itself is attached to the document. If you could have read that, you'll see that
Yes.
the language matches up pretty closely. So the city has obligations, and the VRE attorney and I felt it was easiest just to go ahead and bring the city in as a party. Well, actually, I felt that we should bring the city in as a party, and then also as an agent. So essentially, the EDA doesn't really have to worry about much. The chairman will get notifications as necessary, just to make sure that anything that's going on, the EDA is aware of it. But realistically, Lamar works for the city manager, and Lamar's your director, so, I mean, you're gonna know about it no matter what. But the agency agreement, the agency component was just designed to make sure that you didn't have to hire somebody to go doing everything. Because really, it's an agreement between the city and VRE, and you're just kind of a pass-through entity because we have to.
Okay. And there's no liability or risk?
No, you are all covered under the city's insurance policy. As far as immunity goes, when you're acting in your capacity as directors, then you have immunity unless there's willful or intentional misconduct or gross negligence. So even regular negligence, because you are a director in the city, regular negligence, you're immune from that. So, and you would be defended if there was ever a lawsuit. You'd be defended under the same insurance policy. When the city gets sued, we assign, or the insurance company assigns counsel. I oversee the defense of the suit, of the city. I would also oversee the defense of the EDA as the EDA attorney, unless you guys decide to get another attorney to represent you at some point, then that attorney would be, overseeing you on your behalf. And so as long as the city's and the EDA's interests align, then the same attorney would represent both entities. If for some reason the EDA and the city ever diverged as far as their interests go, then you'd each have separate counsel be assigned by the insurance company.
So you need a motion to approve the ground lease to VRE and to convey the Park Central garage. to
Right, but
EDA.
not in that order. The first one is the
Right.
conveyance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to convey the Park Central garage land to EDA?
I move that, that we agree to have the deed conveyance of the Park Central garage land to the EDA.
And also, so the motion that I had suggested in here, let's see, let me pull it up. It's the recommendation down there, so,
It's page
Okay.
2 of the packet.
Page 2.
yeah, so you go down,
I
it
see,
says
okay.
staff recommendation.
Okay.
Typically, the chair would read the staff recommendation and just say, do I have a motion to that effect? And
Okay.
you would just say, I so move, second.
Okay.
So that's the easiest way, because we need to make sure the chairman has the authority to sign it. There's certain things in here that need to be said, so.
Okay. So the staff recommendation is that the Economic Development Authority approve and authorize the chairman to sign a deed conveying lot 51A to the city's Economic Development Authority as presented and subject to final EDA attorney review.
And then, so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Call for vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
And then the next one is the same. I also have a recommended motion in that one as well.
Page 7.
In your packet, I guess that's page 7. Now, I want to call your attention, however, to the page that I put on your places. I don't see it there.
There it
anymore.
is.
Okay, there. You'll notice the language down at the bottom. That's just additional language, just to clarify, since the VRE is responsible for snow removal during VRE service hours. The way that it was constructed was they're responsible for snow removal for the VRE parking levels. Well, there's entrances and exits and then also sidewalks adjacent to that. One of our council members asked, hey, who's going to do that? Well, to me, it was kind of obvious, but I thought it would be good to put it in there, and I conferred with their VRE's attorney, and we both agreed to this language. So that would be, it's still covered in the staff recommendation, but understand when you're saying as presented, that's the presentation of that additional change to that. So the chair would be signing the clean version of that.
Okay.
And also, when it says subject to final EDA attorney review, what that means is that if there's any last-minute non-substantive changes, like there's a typo or something is not quite clear, and we'd have to reword it a little bit, you're giving me authority to make those changes without coming back to you.
Okay.
Okay. So the motion will be that the Economic Development Authority approve and authorize the chairman to sign the deed of ground lease and parking garage agreement for lot 51A as presented and subject to final EDA attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
Vote. Call for vote.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
All right, and then Lana, I think, is going to ask the chairman to come in tomorrow and sign those. So you probably will own the property tomorrow afternoon.
Right.
And then the ground lease, though, originally the plan was that tomorrow night the VRE would vote on it. Because the VRE is comprised of the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission and the Potomac Rappahannock Transportation Commission, they kind of got gummed up in what they had to do. So all three of them basically have to approve it. And so it probably won't get approved until April or even May. The key component of this is that we have to have the ground lease approved before VRE goes out to bid for the garage. Solicit invitation or solicit proposals.
In terms of building.
Yeah, as far as building it, that's on them. Our big thing was we needed to get the property that the 300 space expansion lot across the railroad tracks. We had to convey that to them. We did that, and we had to get the ground lease signed. So we've done our part. So we're not holding anything up. That was my key. Is I just didn't want to be the ones holding it up.
Okay.
Our Economic Development Director, Coordinator, do you have anything you would like to present to us?
The only thing that I wanted to provide was just an update in regards for the Protected Shop the Park, which is that we've actually officiated 3 individual days to go ahead and coordinate those. And of course, after speaking with Dean today, once we, finalize the agreement and get that language in there, we will be able to go ahead and actually have official dates to go ahead and go forward. And we're just currently doing some more research.
It's still pending governing body approval too. So it's still under discussion and review from the governing body, but once we get their approval of the agreement from Dean, then we can proceed.
Well, they're probably going to go forward no matter what with the vouchers. It's just whether they're tying it to the.
I don't know, only 2 of them commented last night, so I'm not going to speak for kind of where the rest of the members are.
Because there are funds associated with it, would have to get approval.
Yeah, correct. They have to approve it. Yeah. There was only 2 really vocal people last night and via email today. So I'm not sure where the other members stand on the overall program.
Were they supportive or did they?
The 2, 1.5. Yeah. Okay. So one no, flat out no, and then 1 it sounds like a good idea, but originally wanted to go with just a voucher program to all. So interested in the idea for vaccinations, but I think probably leaning towards no. But I don't know where the other members stand at this point. They wanted more time to kind of evaluate and consider. So it may be possible that they approve it the way we presented it, which is different from how we presented it a month ago. At that time, we were going to have a whole registration process, just one time for each resident, right? But because of the kind of difficulties of having people register with the city their information about vaccination status, it was just easier to do kind of one-time events at each shopping center. And if you go multiple times, the 3 times to get your vouchers, okay, that's fine. The goal was to get people out to these restaurants and to say thank you for those who've kind of been vaccinated, and to try to incentivize the vaccination for those who are unvaccinated, because we haven't really done any incentive programs as a city. So this would be the first time that we would try that if the governing body approves. And again, that was my recommendation to them. Our best effort to try to help reduce the impacts of the pandemic. But again, the governing body can decide which direction we'll end up going, and it may just turn to a default vouchers for all, regardless of.
Well, they also wanted to see the agreement, and they wanted me to do the research to find out, make sure the city wasn't going to get in trouble, which I've done.
Right.
So we're not going to. We have the authority to do this. But in the agreement is, and I talked to Lamar today, and then I talked a little bit more to Laszlo. So the timing issue, the real big issue is when they have to submit and when we're going to pay the reimbursement. So, but other than that, it's a pretty straightforward agreement. And
Was there any concern about those who opted not to get the vaccine, of them being viewed as not having equitable rights?
That was one of the concerns, is that people who are not going to get vaccinated, or people who have gotten the disease already and are naturally immune or have natural defenses, would be excluded from this. And then Laszlo pointed out that the plan was to do this, but then also to have something for the rest of the city as well. So,
And I also reminded them the purpose of these funds were to deal with COVID-19.
Yeah.
So I just have to remind everyone.
So
of
can you
that
speak
purpose.
to the percentage of where we're at as a city?
It's just under 70%. We don't have 100% accuracy for our city because unfortunately we only get data for 20111, which includes Yorkshire and other areas. So it could be that our city's higher and in the county area of 2011 it's lower, or vice versa. It could be we're even lower.
Right.
So unfortunately we're one of 5 jurisdictions across Virginia that don't get or full data specific to our jurisdiction. Our data is kind of mixed in with others, so
What
it's
about the deaths, though? Are those specific to the city, or are they just 20111 as well?
no clear answers
Okay.
on that one. I think those are probably a little bit more clear because there's we get, remember the whole corner
Right.
letter we get? So I think the deaths are probably a lot more accurate than the other, just the cases. Hospitalizations, from my understanding, also, because they track for the hospital records, kind of where people are from. But it's the specific for the cases, that's what VDH handles versus the hospitals or coroners or others for hospitalizations and deaths. And for cases, they don't have a GIS system that's geo-fenced by jurisdiction boundary. They just stuck with zip codes as the method for tracking case data.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hoyd, do you want to discuss the website for the EDA?
Well, actually, I was hoping to really just kind of get an idea of where, well, like Lazlo was saying earlier, the EDA like Lazlo and Dean were saying, the EDA has a lot more authority when it comes to presenting information to the public on behalf of the city. So the first thing, is kind of like, in the overall creation of the site, what does the EDA really want to represent to the city? Number two, it comes to in regards of building it. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but is it worth paying a small fee in order to have it done professionally and possibly managed in regards to the content by someone else, or keeping it in-house? For example, I myself would love to do it, but if I'm spending so much time working on a website, then I'm not really doing the job that I came here to do. So I definitely feel like I'd be able to help in regards of arranging content and organizing it for it, but I would really like the EDA to consider the opportunity of hiring a firm to handle the actual creation of the website that allows us to coordinate and tie into the city website, as well as some of the other GIS services that we're currently working on for the city. So that way, when tourists come into the area, when businesses come into the area, they will come to the Manassas Park website first, but as soon as they click on the Economic Development Authority, I want them to be whooshed away to Bright Lights Disneyland. I want every business that is in the city to have an ad space. If they are willing to sign into a media agreement that I'm hoping to get them into, we'll have commercials, we'll have ads. So we're gonna have essentially an internet funland all in one spot. But the matter is, who are we going to trust in order to handle this? And so I can only, really turn it over to you all because, again, you have this experience here with the city in regards of, what's available, but also, how do we want to present this? Again, I had the crazy idea that shooting for the moon, I asked for you to reel me in some to help me, think more realistically.
I got to reel you in a little bit, because EDA only has $2,000,
That's what I was going to say.
$2,849. Now, when you guys issue debt, we can start putting on a fee. You can actually get a fee. It's an infinitesimal amount, but it starts building up. That's how you got this original amount from.
But can't the governing body also appropriate funds to them?
Governing body
Yeah,
can
so
give
if-
money to
If
them.
this is something that we believe is important, which we're recommending, again, most jurisdictions will have an EDA page to promote their businesses. So if this is an idea that you all agree with, then my next step, Mars, would be to present this as part of our FY23 budget proposal, right, to have a website created for the EDA. It won't be as expensive as the full city website. There's a lot more pieces to that one. It would be more similar to kind of the town website I built in my previous jurisdiction, which was a lot more affordable. But the goal, again, is to have a platform where we can legally promote our businesses.
And so,
Yeah, because he went from 0 to 60 like that, so I'm trying to catch up.
well, one of the things I just want you guys to all understand as well is that once you put that out there and you do what Lamar wants to have done on this website, you've created a public forum. And so you're not going to be able to say, that business over there cannot advertise. So you need to understand that this is for every business in the city regardless.
And that is my hope. Again, hoping to, reel it in. I understand, I can't, go crazy, but I am hoping that we maybe would find a way to offset some of the costs by some of the businesses, maybe paying sponsorship. maybe we can get to the point, again, as the EDA, to maybe look at having a merchants and professionals association in the city that we do have businesses enjoying, that may, again, offer us the ability to maybe charge a membership fee and a renewal fee that allows us to, again, fund the EDA in order to pay for things like this. Again, just as
That's a
thought of
much better
suggestion.
plan, by the way, because if you
Just
did
saying.
that, they could internally decide the content of the advertisements, who's gonna do it, and then that gets you guys out of that business, because, you know, there might be an ad that's a little too racy and might violate some of our laws. Well, you don't wanna get into the limiting speech part of this thing, but a private association, they're not, the First Amendment doesn't apply to them. They're not a governmental
But if
entity.
it's under a city-owned,
If it's a publicly owned website, then we are a actor of the state, so we are subject to First Amendment restrictions through the 14th Amendment.
so,
So the distinction is what now?
yeah,
So if let's say we did what Lamar said, he wants to create a business association or a guild or something.
okay. Separate
We would
from the
then
city.
contract
Separate.
with them,
okay.
Okay.
and they would determine, you know, so they would pay us, they would pay you for the right to have these ads run, and they would internally figure out who gets to run them, and they would have the screening.
It's a membership.
And we would require them, right, and then we would require that their advertisements conform to state and local law.
Decency,
Yeah.
city
Right.
decency standards.
Right.
I'm just thinking, what if we get like a adult bookstore, and they, you know, theoretically,
Manassas,
you know, and we get one of those, and they want to have like a really racy, you know, 2-minute video or something. I mean, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would be upset with that. The guild or the association could kind of make sure that didn't happen.
So
You
think
can
of it
still
as
put it up there, but just not.
more of a two-step process. I think
exactly.
at first you just need a simple website where you have a business directory.
Right.
That's the start of kind of what most entities do. And you have a tourism platform for our downtown, and for our different shopping centers. You just list kind of what businesses are there. You can, you know, share links to kind of what's available for leasing as well. You know, businesses like to go and see
Grants.
what's available, yeah.
Incentives.
And then you can have a link there to, if we create a business association, you link it there and just kind of, you put in, you know, the Chamber of Commerce link, you put in all these different links, and then our partnership with the future business association would then allow for advertisement and all that stuff. So I don't think the EDA website would have the advertisements. It would be a lot more simple with business directory data and available spaces and things like that, and tourism marketing as well.
To Laszlo's point, and the reason why I mentioned all of that was to say, we could start off with just very simple, but I would hope that we would consider the ability to, you know, evolve this site, so we don't just start off and say, this is good enough, and then when we want to do more, we can't. Now we have to go get something new, you know, just hoping we can think with that open mind.
Okay. It makes more sense to me now. Before you, boom, everyone.
Well, he gets very excited.
Yeah, like, whoa. Okay. And again, the goal for this is 2023.
Not necessarily. The important part, I think, is going to be more like 2024, where we really need to have this. That's when our downtown
Will be
will be
fully
done.
developed, okay.
Correct. So now, if we could start working on it in 2023,
We start planning
that'd be
and
great.
conceptualizing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha, okay.
But if it's something you guys are interested in, we believe it's something we need. If you all are in agreement with that, you don't have to decide tonight, right? We can wait for the next meeting. Yeah.
I agree. Do we have a Twitter and Instagram page and all that stuff?
The city does, and Lamar's actually starting to get it up and running for kind of economic development, but I agree that there should probably be a social media presence for the EDA specifically as well, where again, we get to post information about business openings and other things as well. So I don't know what the rules are with that, Dean, like when we set up a Facebook page, do we just announce it's an EDA Facebook page? Because there's no cost to that.
Well, we have
Well, when we
this-
set it up, will we set it up as the EDA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
yeah, there's no
Then we can do
problem.
that now then.
Now, I want to be, again, that's a public forum though, so you
Right,
can't go in there and
exactly.
start monitoring people's
Right.
comments. If they
Yeah,
want to
comments,
say EDA sucks, you know, well,
Be cognizant of what.
yeah, you gotta be
that opens
careful.
up, Right?
But we do
Can
that
ask them to be
as
more
a city
specific?
website.
Like if they say it sucks, can you be specifically which one sucks?
I mean,
That's for
I don't want to
clarification.
veto. I don't want people to think that, you know, I'm that guy. But we do have the Manassas Park Economic Development Facebook that I've made some posts on. So I think we
Okay.
should just add authority to that and just start pushing that way. and then we
That'll be
can,
your Facebook page to promote, so
Okay.
you can provide us ongoing.
Now, you can't put guidelines on there and stuff, and if people violate the guidelines, of course you can do it, but you can't do it based upon the speech, the content of the speech. You know, if they're bullying or they're using foul language, okay, you can do as far as obscenity standards, the local obscenity standards. You gotta be kind of careful, because, you know, the F-bomb is pretty much used throughout society now, and so, you know, for us to be prudish and, you know, limit it, you know, we'd have to have a good reason to do it. So I just want to make sure you understand that when you create this stuff, it's great, but you can't go in there and start monitoring and limiting what people can say.
So that's a great point. Who's going to monitor it from the city?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be,
No, it's not. We have our city website, right? Each of our department has,
okay.
I'm sorry, not website, the social media presence, so our residents are pretty good. I mean, you look at the comments, you know, they'll joke and they'll make fun of us and say they disagree with stuff. Great. But actually, I haven't seen, you know, a lot of any
No
really foul.
vulgarity.
Yeah, it's been just, yeah.
No threats or anything. so,
Correct.
you know.
Yeah, so, but each department manages it, so in this case, Lamar would be the responsible party for kind of monitoring the EDA page, and then the dean's point, if we want to establish kind of guidelines, that'd be a board decision for approval for those guidelines as well.
and maybe to put it out there. So as far as what I've put on the website that people have commented, that I've actually read, like Laszlo said, it's been nice stuff, you know, it's real jovial. I can tell you when the Facebook messages alert says, hey, some things have happened, I normally delete it. So, I mean, to be fair, if you want me to read every comment on there, I can. But for the most part, I'm letting people just, you know, react how they're gonna react.
You're not deleting the comment, you're deleting the notification.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
deleting the email from Facebook that says
Gotcha.
that somebody's done something. But I mean, I'll go and I'll like stuff and I'll, you know, add emojis and, you know, I'll cheer people on. But yeah, I'm not the internet police.
So what would be the issue if somebody did put something inappropriate and he deleted it? Is that,
Well, we have to set the guidelines up front, you know, so as long as the guidelines are set up front and they know what the limitations, so no bullying, no personal attacks, that kind of stuff, you know, because Facebook can go that direction rather quickly. You know, so we limit that, so we monitor that. As far as, you know, no posting of obviously copyright material, you know, or anything that would violate city law, that's clear. But everything else is going to have to be allowed.
okay.
I kind of felt like if it didn't violate Facebook standards, you know, was up, it'd probably be okay. But I can definitely, you know,
They allow an awful lot on
I
Facebook.
will be more diligent in checking the comments to make sure that there's nothing crazy.
So do they need like official policy approval?
It should, yeah, you
Okay.
should have a use policy up front, you know, just before you do it, because otherwise, you know, you're gonna be making it up as you go along, and then you can't make it apply retroactively,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Do we, I would assume we have something already for the other.
For the city?
portals.
That's a good question, to be honest. That existed before my time here. So I'll have to ask and see kind of.
Yeah, I don't
dig
know,
in.
I don't even know if I know we had use policies.
We have one, yeah.
But,
We could start as a starting point.
Yeah, I created one for my previous jurisdiction. I just
yeah,
showed up here and they're already on social media, so I assumed there was already a policy in place.
there
Even
may
if we
be.
didn't, we should be able to reach out to other municipalities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
I would reach out to other EDAs though, because municipalities and EDAs have different audiences that they're looking
Yeah.
for.
Well, if I may, I kind of realized that we started off with website and then kind of went to social media. And even though they're connected, I think that they're, like Laz was saying earlier, kind of phase one, phase two. So I guess now will we say that maybe the first thing we want to work on is just increasing just the traditional LinkedIn, Facebook, EDA present, and then do more research in regards to looking towards an actual official standalone website?
Well, I think
like that.
the website, to be fully effective though, you're gonna have to have a business entity that you partner with. And so I
Well,
think we ought to
yeah.
be trying to set that up as well.
I think we can show you other EDA websites at least as a starting point. Again, let's start simple, and then we can go beyond there. It's going to take some time to create.
Are you gonna allow
businesses, yeah.
links to their website? on
We'll have
the-
to see kind of what other EDAs are doing. That'd be my recommendation. But in Lovettsville, we had kind of the breakdown for the businesses, like their address, phone numbers, things like that, and a picture of the business. It was very simple.
Yeah.
Just a directory and kind of a map also we put of where every business is, right? That was just the starting point. And ideally, you'd want to have it, like Lamar said, linked in with your GIS to show kind of availability of spaces as well. That's down the road. The state helps us out with, or we can just link to the state page for industrial vacancies as well. So there's things like that, but again, we probably want to show you real world examples and also better research kind of what our limitations would be and what we can do, and then, but at least start off with the basic ones, or
Yeah,
who
so-
is Manassas Park, what are our businesses in Manassas Park?
Something just popped into my head. So we have a lot of businesses up in Connor Center that are very delinquent on taxes. So maybe to be able to post up there, you require
Yeah.
them to have, not to be delinquent in taxes, so. We already do that as far as rezoning applications and any kind of land development. They have to be up to speed on all permits, taxes, fees. They can't owe the city anything.
So I guess the goal is tonight, if there's any interest, then let's go back and start drafting kind of a strategy memo for you all to consider in the future and actually show you real world examples in the future. Yeah.
Something to think about also, you guys, like this, the voucher program. I mean, that could be, if, at some point in the future, a program like that could be something that you do. And with basically with an understanding between the city and the EDA. So just kind of be thinking about that as well, how much you guys want to do in the future.
You're saying like using the city
The
money?
city could have given,
Okay.
the city could give money to
EDA.
the EDA from the ARPA funds for that specific purpose. The EDA then would run it.
But what about from city funds in the future?
We can do that as well.
Okay.
Well, depends. I mean, so we have to make sure we're doing it within the constraints of state code.
Okay.
We can do it with an association. Like, so if we get this guild set up or this business association, you can certainly do it with that. The city can donate money for that purpose. Not sure the EDA can donate money for that purpose or not. I think they probably can, but we're a Dillon rule state, so you can't just assume you can do stuff. You have to have legal authority somewhere to do it. So in this case, for the program that we have, there's a specific code section that says the city can go ahead and take money from the federal government and use it for that purpose and give it out, so we can basically be a conduit. If we didn't have that code section, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Next on the agenda, we have chairman's report. I do not have a report to provide tonight. Following that is the director's report. Mr. Hoy, do you have a report to provide?
I do not at this time.
Okay. City manager, do you have?
But actually for the directors, it also, it opens up
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't-
you guys are all technically directors.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I have no
Gentlemen.
report.
No, I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Mr. Palco?
No, nothing to report tonight, but we'll come back with some policies maybe for social media, for websites, just to kind of show if this is something you guys are interested in doing.
Yep.
And then we'll keep you abreast of kind of what's happening with the voucher program, and then if it is rolled out, we have the dates. Please help us promote it to let residents know far and wide that come in and get some free meals from on the federal government's tab, right?
But only for residents.
Yeah, only for city residents. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to start getting people coming tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But then they won't leave.
Yeah, they're not allowing employees to take advantage of this. It's just
Yeah.
residents, so
Okay.
some of us are not gonna get to take advantage of this.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Vote call, aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Y'all have
4
a good
minutes
evening.
passed.
Thank you. Thank you all.
That was a record speed.
I was expecting
trying.
that.
So.